Hello everyone, welcome to Inside Taiwan. I'm Badagao Dalimalao. First to political news. While attending the 27th World Chinese Traders Conference, President Ma Ying-jeou lauded the economic experience of his administration. According to Ma, his administration successfully kept Taiwan afloat during the financial crisis 3 years ago and the current European debt crisis through concrete countermeasures. At the same time, the government has protected the rights of both employers and employees. In regards to Ma's earlier announcement on the legalization of unpaid leaves policies, many enterprises expressed support, but also voiced concerns about promulgation and execution.
During the 27th World Chinese Traders Conference, President Ma Ying-jeou reiterated his commitment to economic development. Ma also discussed regional economic integration policies and plans for Taiwan to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership within the next 10 years. Apart from how his administration dealt with the financial crisis and European debt crisis, Ma also touched on the government's protection of both employer and employee rights. Labor groups are supportive of a new policy that would force companies to report the implementation of unpaid leave to relevant authorities, and industry representatives are also lauding the government for taking care of workers. However, they hope that the government will conduct negotiations with them before these measures are promulgated. Ma will next be tackling the unemployment rate and launching job creation programs.
President Ma Ying-jeou announced changes to labor policies, including a legal framework of employees' unpaid leaves, under which enterprises will be fined if they do not report to the Council for Labor Affairs the number of employees taking unpaid leaves had reached a certain percentage. In addition, children of those unemployed will be eligible for increased education subsidies.
While meeting with leaders of the 10 major labor unions, President Ma Ying-jeou announced the government's changes in labor policies, pledging that his administration would build a labor-friendly environment. The most noteworthy change in the policy is the legal framework of the employees' unpaid leaves. In other words, enterprises are required to notify the Council for Labor Affairs of its decision to execute the unpaid leaves. This will allow the government to intervene and offer assistance in a timely manner. President Ma also announced that the requirements for the education subsidy for children of the unemployed will be loosened. Unlike the past 6-month threshold, those whose parents have been involuntarily unemployed for 1 month are also eligible to apply for such subsidies, and the subsidy for families that have more than one child in school would also be increased by 20% per child. The number of employees benefited from the change is estimated to increase from 5,000 to 10,000. During the meeting, President Ma reiterated that his goal is to adjust the standard from 84 hours for 2 weeks to a 40-hour work week. President Ma carefully recounted his many labor policies during his 3.5 years in office, including the 2 increases of basic wages, in an attempt to emphasize his administration's efforts to take care of workers.
The KMT and the DPP were in a fierce dispute over cement prices and how much it costs per caddy. The KMT asked DPP presidential candidate Tsai Ing-wen to apologize to farmers for her inaccurate information, and the DPP responded by asking President Ma Ying-jeou to address the problems associated with agricultural supply and demand. Recently, Tsai traveled to Taichung, where she addressed to Rotary Club members without further responding to this topic. Tsai said she hoped that the upcoming election campaign would avoid being a war of words, with rational minds prevailing.
DPP presidential candidate Tsai Ing-wen takes the stage, receiving a warm response from Rotary Club members who shake small miniature pigs in their hands. She is participating in a Central Area Rotary Club meeting. And in front of the stage, there are nearly 100 Rotary Club members. Many are owners of small and medium-sized enterprises comprising many different industries. Tsai reaffirmed her support for these industries and joked that with 1 month left in the election, she hoped she would make no more mistakes. Her announcement of persimmons for $2 NT a caddy has led to a heated debate between the KMT and DPP. Tsai was unwilling to respond, though she stood on the stage and hoped that this upcoming election would not become a war of words. The dispute over fruit pricing has heated up the presidential election, with the KMT launching a fierce attack, calling upon Tsai to make an apology, while the DPP has quietly tried to downplay the matter and proceed more cautiously in the future.
Many Pan Blue supporters are concerned about the impact of the People First Party chairman James Song joining the presidential race. The KMT legislative candidate Su Junbin recently declared that casting a vote for Song is equivalent to casting a vote for Tsai Ing-wen. Song was extremely upset by Su's words and accused Su of trying to prevent him from winning the election. On the 28th, the PFP filed a complaint against Su for violating the Election and Recall Act.
Supporters of PFP Chairman James Song presented him with red envelopes as he campaigned in Zhanghua's Ershui. Song appeared to be extremely moved by the show of support, but at the same time continued to play the role of injured party. Former Premier Hao Bo-chun had recently alluded to Song's false love for the Republic of China, and Song responded by saying that every Taiwanese person has the right to love Taiwan and the Republic of China. The PFP has also decided to file a complaint against KMT legislative candidate Su Junbin for violating Article 90 of the Election and Recall Act and detrimentally affecting Song's chances of winning the election. The PFP further threatened to seek legal action against all parties for similar violations. Su had previously said that voting for Song is equivalent to voting for Tsai Ing-wen. As the PFP chose to file a complaint with prosecutors rather than filing a legal suit, prosecutors will decide whether there is merit to the case and whether to launch an investigation.
The government's implementation of the so-called luxury tax has effectively lowered the transaction volume of property market, which even hit a new low. National Zhenji University professor Zhang Jing, who often comments on high property prices, believes that housing prices in metropolitan areas will be lower 2 to 3 years after the upcoming presidential election. He also agreed to have his old home, included in an urban renewal program. Although he has not been panned out, the scholar publishes a book based on the interaction he has with the developer and neighbors in the community, hoping to familiarize the public with the contents of the urban renewal program and review the current system.
National Zhenji University professor Zhang Jing often makes bold comments on the country's high housing prices. This time he is publishing a book based on his views and experiences with an urban renewal project. He gave up the idea of selling his own home and decided to take part in an urban renewal project as the scholar wants to use it as an experiment to examine the current system. According to Zhang, the goal of urban renewal has been distorted and become an accomplice of market speculation. He suggests that a third-party professional organization or a company could step in to gather opinions between landowners and developers so the rights of all parties involved can be better protected. Since the implementation of the so-called luxury tax, the market has slowed down and the number of property transactions in October even hit a new low. According to Zhang, investors and home buyers are cautious and speculative before the upcoming election. There are not many property transactions and housing prices in metropolitan areas remain at high levels. He estimates that the prices would gradually go down within 2 to 3 years after the upcoming election by as much as 30%.
The Hakka portion of the 2011 National Language Competition recently took place. Students from elementary, junior, and senior high school and educational institutions from throughout Taiwan participated. A total of 350 representatives joined the competition in Kaohsiung, setting a new record. The event also showed the fruits of Hakka education and culture taking root throughout Taiwan.
These elementary school students are participating in the oral part of the Hakka language competition, correctly pronouncing each word. High school teams also participated, receiving good marks, showing the results of hard work and practice. In the community section, topics were drawn on the spot, not coming from a group of advanced questions, creating a major challenge for participants. This year's Hakka section of the National Languages Competition, in addition to acquiring speeches, also had a read aloud section and a special pronunciation section. Each group that participated was divided into either a students group, a teachers group, or a community group. Regarding the students group, there were 4 sections, including elementary, junior high, high school, and educational institutions, making the competition the largest in history.
Last year, a Hsinchu County Cultural Association asked the Council for Hakka Affairs to conduct a cultural heritage survey on Hakka villages in Zhudong Township. An exhibition on the CHA's findings was recently held at Zhudong's Yuandong Elementary School, featuring 7 major things on Hakka cultures.
Volunteer tour guides take Yuandong Elementary School students on a tour and share with them the results of a recent survey on the industrial development of Zhudong Township's Hakka villages. A singer that won the Hakka Hillsong category of a television singing competition 2 decades ago also performed at the exhibition. 6,000 households, which account for nearly 90% of total households in the villages, were interviewed over the course of 1 year, starting in November 2010. Precious photographs and historical artifacts were also collected and documented. The exhibition featured 7 major categories of exhibits, including old photographs and daily living items. The Council for Hakka Affairs began conducting Hakka cultural surveys on a village-by-village basis starting in 2005, and civic groups have taken an active role in collecting and digitizing items and publications in the hopes of documenting Hakka village culture. The CHA is calling for more participation from civic groups to prevent cultural heritage from becoming lost.